Hey everyone, my name is Lauren Bethancourt, and I am a St. Tammany Parish public school teacher. I teach 8th grade science, and I'm so glad that you could join us today for this lesson. Today I will be reviewing Punnett squares. So let's take a look. It says Bikini Bottom genetics. Scientists at Bikini Bottoms have been investigating the genetic makeup of the organisms in this community. Use the information provided in your knowledge of genetics to answer each question. For each genotype below, indicate whether it is heterozygous or homozygous. The key thing to remember here is that heterozygous is represented by letters that are different capitalizations. For instance, a big T and a little t, as you can see here. Homozygous, which means same. So that means that the letters would be the same capitalization. There are two options for this. You could have big T, which is homozygous. You could also have little t as homozygous, because both letters are capitalized or lowercase. So as long as they have the same capitalization, they are considered to be the same. So let's take a look at this first part. Big T. As I mentioned earlier, this would be considered homozygous. The next one is big B, little b. They have different capitalizations. Therefore, this would be considered heterozygous. Big D. You guessed it. This would be homozygous. Big F, little f. This would be considered heterozygous. Little t. As we mentioned before, they're both lowercase, so this would mean homozygous. And little d would also be homozygous. Let's see. Big D, little d. This would be heterozygous. Little f would be homozygous. Big T, little t would be heterozygous. Little b would be homozygous. Big B would also be homozygous. And big F would be homozygous. Which of the genotypes in number 1 would be considered purebred? Okay, purebred means the same throughout. So that's going to be our homozygous genotypes. That would be big T, big D, little t, little d, little d, little f, little b, big B, and big F. A hybrid means it has two components. So for instance, a hybrid car, those can be charged electrically, but they can also run on gas. So they're using two sources of energy. So in this case, we want to know which ones have two different capitalizations. So for instance, one capital letter and one lowercase letter. So that means that it's going to be all of the heterozygous genotypes that we've already identified. We're going to highlight those in green. Big B, big F, big D, big T, little t. And now you can see that all of the genotypes have been classified as either purebreds or hybrids. And phenotype means physical, how it physically looks. The way I remember this is I remember that phenotype has PH, and so does physical, right? So how does it physically look? And that is what reminds me. So let's take a look at this one. It says the yellow body color is dominant to blue. So yellow is dominant, which means that the letter would be capital. Dominant is capital. Okay, so this would be yellow. This genotype also has a capital letter, making it yellow. And then this is little y, which means all lowercase and therefore would be recessive, which means it would be the recessive color, which is right here, blue. Big S, both capital, means it would be dominant, and the dominant phenotype was identified as being square. This also has a capital S, so it would be square as well. Little s. This does not have a capital letter, which means it is recessive, and so its phenotype would be round. Yes, we're going to be given the phenotype or how it physically looks, and we're going to determine what the genotype would be, or the genes, the alleles, how they would look represented by letters. Okay, so for each phenotype, give the genotypes that are possible for Patrick. A tall head, and notice that tall is represented by a capital T, and again, short is a lowercase t. So it identifies the letters for you. All right, so tall, this is kind of tricky because tall is dominant, therefore it could have two genotypes. The first would be big T, big T. It could also be big T, little t. All right, now short, the only way for it to become short is if it had two lowercase letters, meaning it would be recessive. That's gonna be little t, little t. So now why don't you try to write the genotypes for pink body color, capital P, is dominant to yellow, lowercase p. All right, let's take a look. So pink for dominant could be capital P, or capital P, lower p. The yellow body would be represented by two yellow P's, little p, little p. I do want to note that you always stick with one letter. So it's usually going to be the first letter of whatever the dominant trait is. Pink starts with a P, and so that's why capital P is the pink, and why yellow would be represented by little p. So number 4 says, SpongeBob SquarePants recently met Sponge Susie Round Pants at a dance. SpongeBob is heterozygous for his square shape, but Sponge Susie is round. Create a Punnett square to show the possibilities that would result if SpongeBob and Sponge Susie had children. Hint, read question number 2. So heterozygous square would be right here, okay? So we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to put big S, little s. Right? The next one says that Sponge Susie is round, okay? So round, again, is provided in number 2 as little s. And so that would go here. All right, little s, little s. Okay, so let's go back to our Punnett square. In order to do this, you are going to essentially multiply by this. And together, that would make this big S, little s. And again, multiply this by this one. And that would give you little s, little s. Let's try this box. Again, you're going to be multiplying whatever is on the row, okay, so whatever is horizontal, and then multiplying it by whatever is vertical, whatever the vertical column is. So if we take a look at that, we would have big S, little s, and little s, little s. When you are multiplying and you have a capital letter and a lowercase letter, you're always going to write the capital letter first. That's just a rule that we need to remember. So we're going to list the possible genotypes and phenotypes for their children. So remember, genotype is going to be the letters. Heterozygous, dominant, and we also have homozygous, recessive. Okay, so this big S, little s is going to result in a phenotype of square, lower s is going to result in a round phenotype. So now it says, what are the chances of a child with a square shape? Well, a square shape would be any of the boxes that have a capital letter because it's dominant. So that would be this box and this box. So that means that we would write 2 out of 4 boxes, or 50%. What are the chances of a child with a round shape? So that is going to be anything that has only lowercase letters. And that would be your lowercase s, lowercase s, lowercase s, lowercase s. So we're going to report that now. So this would be 2 out of 4, or 50%. All right, we're doing really good. We're doing really, really great. This next one says, Patrick met Patty at the dance. Both of them are heterozygous for their pink body color, which is dominant over a yellow body color. Create a Punnett square to show the possibilities that would result if Patrick and Patty had children. Hint, read question 3. So that would be big P, little p, big P, little p. And we're going to start multiplying. So big P times big P would be big P, big P. Little p times big P would be, again, capital letter first, big P, little p. Big P times little p, big P, little p. And little p times little p, little p, little p. All right, so now we're going to list out our genotypes, which again is the gene, how the alleles are looking, represented by letters. And that would be big P, big P, little p, and also little p, little p. It also wants to know the phenotypes, or how they physically look. And we know that pink is dominant. Pink is dominant. So we have a capital letter and a capital letter, which means pink. Also, capital P, little p, which would be pink. We don't need to rewrite that. But we also have a little p, which is the recessive trait, which means we could also have an offspring that would be yellow. So now let's take a look at this. What are the chances of a child with a pink body? Big P, big P, big P, little p, big P, little p. Okay? And so now we're going to write that, and that would be 3 out of 4, or 75%. Now it says, what are the chances of a yellow body? Well, the yellow body would only be the recessive, which would be little p, and that would be 1 out of 4, or 25%. I hope that this was a good refresher for your Punnett squares, and I encourage you to go ahead and review by doing questions 6, 7, and 8 on your own. I just want to say thank you again for watching as we learned about Punnett squares and reviewed. You all did a great job. Remember to keep watching other videos like this one so we can all keep learning together. You can watch lessons daily on STPPS TV or on our website at www.stpsb.org. See you again soon.